Hello, Hal. Thank you so much for your time and agreeing to have this interview for ARDD 2024 with me. I really appreciate it. And on behalf of the team, I really wanted to thank you for sponsoring the conference as a tier-free sponsor. It really means the world to us, and we are so happy to be able to kind of live in a symbiosis here that you help the conference grow, and hopefully we can help you grow too. So, with having that said, for starters, could you please tell me more about QuBiologics? What distinguishes you in the longevity biotechnology field, and what is it that you actually do?
Sure, thank you for our conversation. Q is training the innate immune system. And as we age, our immune function declines, particularly innate immunity. Innate immunity is very important for maintaining health. If innate immunity declines, we're at increased risk for cancer, chronic inflammatory disease, metabolic disease, infections. And that decline in innate immunity is of fundamental importance in aging and human health. And we've found a way to exercise or train the innate immune system to restore innate immunity. And we're very hopeful that restoration will have a very important impact on extending healthy longevity.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. So, if I understand correctly, your solution works by somehow restoring the function rather than supplying the drug constantly. Can you tell me more about the mechanism? How do you actually train your immune system?
Sure. Like our muscles, our immune system needs training to function optimally. And in the case of the innate immune system, that training is provided by exposure to bacteria. If you raise mice in a germ-free environment, they have a very dysfunctional immune system. And so that exposure to bacteria is really important. And as the incidence of acute infection has declined over the last 80 years because of vaccination and improved hygiene, the incidence of immune-related disease has increased dramatically. That concept is referred to as the hygiene hypothesis. If you grow up on a farm, you're much less likely to have immune-related disease. If you grow up in India or Africa, the chances of getting diseases like Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis are very low. And that relates to the concept of aging, in that as we age, our innate immune function declines, and innate immunity plays many important roles in the body. It helps to control inflammation. It helps to clear cancer. It clears infection. It mediates metabolism and the microbiome. It mediates autophagy, which is the clearance of dead and dying cells. All of those functions of innate immunity play a very important role in maintaining health and maintaining healthy longevity. And without a proper functioning innate immune system as we age, we're at increased risk for a wide range of diseases, increased risk for inflammation. And so we've found a way to train the innate immune system, like in a similar way that we exercise our muscles, to restore innate immunity. We've shown that in people with Crohn's disease who have a dysfunctional innate immune system, that we can restore or activate innate immunity. And we're hoping to show the same thing with aging. It's a natural opportunity for us in a field that is immensely important, because the functions of innate immunity play, or at least if they're dysregulated, they play an important role in aging. We currently have a randomized placebo-controlled trial underway in people aged 65 or over, looking to see if we can replicate what we've shown in Crohn's disease and restore innate immune function in the elderly. If we can, that has very important implications for human health because of all those important roles of innate immunity and the impact on reducing the risk of development of a wide range of important diseases and maintaining and optimizing health.
Wow, definitely keeping my fingers crossed for the trial, because well, randomized placebo trial are the golden standards for all the interventions. So how far along are you? Are
So
you
this
recruiting
study,
or?
thank you. This study is enrolling. We're anticipate that we'll have the data by the end of this year or by early next year. This initial study is looking as the primary endpoint at innate immune training. Can we restore innate immune function in the elderly? And if so, how long does that restoration last for? The important secondary endpoints will be morbidity and mortality, and overall health and quality of life. What we're hoping to show is that by restoring innate immune function, we can reduce the risk of illness, reduce the risk of hospitalizations, reduce the risk of infection, cancer, and a whole range of other disease, and extend healthy longevity. A subsequent study, if we can show the restoration of innate immunity, will be a much larger study looking at the outcomes of morbidity, mortality, quality of life, and overall health. Those are secondary endpoints in this study, and we'll be using this study to size a larger subsequent study. There aren't any current treatments that restore innate immune function, so we're hopeful that this treatment will have important implications for human health.
Hal, I really can't wait to read the publication based on the first results that you have from the trials. And one thing I can also drill a little bit more is that you mentioned vaccines, and I see a lot of correlation between what you say and basically what we are told how vaccines work. So like exposing the organism to a dead, let's say, quote unquote, version of the pathogen. So is your delivery method similar? Is it a vaccine, a drug? Can you tell me a little bit more?
Thanks for that great question. So vaccines are designed to activate adaptive immunity, activate antibodies. Our immunomodulators are designed to restore innate immune function. And to create a vaccine, you just need a single antigen or a combination of antigens to activate innate immunity. The innate immune system isn't as easily fooled as the adaptive immune system. And our immunomodulators require components of both the DNA and the cell wall in a complex three-dimensional structure that makes the innate immune system think there's an infection without actually there being an infection. So in that way, it's similar to vaccines, but vaccines are much simpler and activate the adaptive immune system, whereas what we're doing is activating the innate immune system. So it's similar to vaccines in the sense that it's made from components of inactivated bacteria, but it represents to the immune system a more complex three-dimensional structure that activates innate immunity. It's not designed to activate adaptive immunity. And we've treated more than 360 patients to date in 4 phase 2 studies. We're a phase 2 clinical stage biotech company. And our safety profile has been very good. We think it'll be very similar to traditional vaccines. Essentially, it is like inactivated bacteria, a whole inactivated bacteria that then activates innate immunity. In that
Wow, so
sense, it's
3,000
like
people
a
in. That's
natural.
fascinating.
In that
Congratulations on that.
sense, it's like a natural health product in that it
Oh,
replicates a natural existing bacteria.
Well, definitely keeping fingers crossed, but it seems that I don't have to keep them that much crossed since you have already so much progress in this
Yeah,
way. So, you know,
we've published our phase 2 data demonstrating this mechanism of innate immune restoration. We're really excited about its application. We have demonstrated proof of principle in cancer, in chronic inflammatory disease, in metabolic disease like diabetes and obesity, and in infection. And the application in healthy longevity is a very important one because unlike small molecule drugs or monoclonal antibodies, which are the standard drug paradigm that force a single pathway in one direction, our immunomodulators are designed to restore normal immune function, and through many different pathways. As I mentioned, innate immunity plays many important roles in the body, and our platform is designed to restore all of those roles.
That's quite a unique approach. Like I've never heard of naturally activating innate immunity before. So can you please tell me the story of when you realized that you have have very high potential idea and you want to start a company? Can you tell me the emotions that were present, the story behind it?
I'm a physician by background, and I was caring for a person with advanced pancreatic cancer. And as you may know, as the audience might know, pancreatic cancer has a very poor prognosis. And this patient had advanced pancreatic cancer. He had lost 65 pounds and was really at the end of his life. He developed a severe infection, and his pancreatic cancer melted away. It was like seeing a miracle. He regained his weight, went back to normal life. We published the case. It was so remarkable. And I dove into the literature to try to understand how that could occur. And I had a hypothesis that that infection had activated innate immunity. We went on to show that we can activate innate immunity in that way. And through the specific mechanism that we discovered, we have shown that we can restore innate immune function, and that innate immunity is cellular mostly. It's cells like natural killer cells and macrophages. And we can target that restoration to a diseased organ or tissue and restore innate immune function. So it was serendipity that I had this experience, and it was just remarkable seeing this person with advanced pancreatic cancer recover. We went on to show that you don't need to have an infection to activate this mechanism as long as the innate immune system perceives it as infection. It has to have the right combination of DNA and cell wall to make the innate immune system think there's an infection. But our immunomodulators aren't live bacteria, so there's no risk of infection. But we can activate this mechanism simply, safely, and in a targeted way.
This really sounds like a movie-worthy story. Yeah, I can see that, you know, with the music in the background and everything. That must have felt extraordinary when you see the cancer disappear. And then, you know, I wish that one day I can get into such chase after scientific idea.
We did a compassionate use program shortly after founding the company, and we treated a patient with advanced pancreatic cancer who recovered not on the basis of an infection, but on the basis of taking our immunomodulator. So we're very excited about the application, and we're currently seeking funding for a randomized placebo-controlled trial in pancreatic cancer. As I mentioned, we have 2 randomized placebo-controlled trials underway. One in immunosenescence, which is the decline in immune function as we age, and the study that we spoke about earlier. The second is in late-stage colon cancer in patients undergoing resection of liver metastases. The results from the first study in immunosenescence, we anticipate at the end of this year or very early 2025. The important results from the second study we anticipate at the end of 2025.
Okay, so that's actually very soon. So Hal, please tell me if we can get a little bit of a sneak peek. What are you going to talk about both studies at your ARDD talk in a month?
Will I be speaking about those studies? Yes. I'll be talking about the proof of principle that we have in a wide range of diseases, but also in health restoration. This has application, as I mentioned, in oncology, in chronic inflammatory disease, and in metabolic disease. We've shown in animal models that we can improve glucose control by increasing insulin sensitivity and insulin release. We've also shown that we can improve fatty liver disease, which is a very big problem in the developed world. Only one approved therapy that was approved this year. So we're excited about the broad application of our technology. We've been collaborating with Brian Kennedy, who many of your audience might know, and looking at the mTOR pathway. Brian hypothesized that our immunomodulators may downregulate mTOR, and we've shown in biopsies in our clinical studies that indeed our platform downregulates mTOR. But it does much more than that. It modulates all these mechanisms of innate immunity, and we're very excited about its application in healthy longevity.
I am also very excited for your talk. Can't wait to listen to it. And now that you mentioned the mTOR pathway, it would be also interesting to see in the future your therapy with combination, for example, with rapamycin. If it's an mTOR inhibitor, then maybe there could be like a double potent effect. We don't know.
We have shown a synergy with all the treatments we've tested it with in oncology. And we think it has really important application for all health restorative treatments, that there would be that synergy. We're very interested in looking at the metabolome and the proteome and understanding that imbalance that can occur before disease develops. And because of the safety of our platform, the application of our platform very early on to optimize health and extend healthy longevity, because there's really a spectrum, and we believe we have application across that spectrum, from illness treatment to illness prevention to optimization of health and extension of healthy longevity. We're the first.
So let's be.
Sorry, go ahead.
Please go on.
Oh, I was going to say we're the first immunomodulation platform, we believe, that has application across the most important disease categories: oncology, inflammation, metabolic disease, and infections. If you have a small molecule drug or monoclonal antibody, typically it has application in one of those categories, or perhaps two of them. But because you're forcing the immune system in one direction, either immune activation in oncology or immune suppression in chronic inflammatory disease, it doesn't have this same broad application. But innate immune dysregulation underlies all of those diseases. Cancer and chronic inflammation dysregulate innate immunity. The innate immune system is meant to clear chronic inflammation, but once it becomes dysregulated by cancer or chronic inflammation, then chronic inflammation progresses, and you get a vicious cycle that underlies disease. So our goal is to restore innate immunity and restore all of the functions of innate immunity. And we believe that as AI allows us to look at the metabolome and proteome more closely and to monitor, we will have really important application to potentially lead the field in understanding how we can restore that imbalance before disease develops. So we have application in disease treatment, but we also have important application in disease prevention. But of course, just because we don't have a disease doesn't mean we're in optimal health, and we're interested in understanding how we can optimize health and extend healthy longevity.
Exactly. So if you allow me to think aloud for a second, you mentioned that we don't need a disease, we can start early, and your trials start, you recruit people at 65 all order. So do you think that perhaps in the future we could implement a measure like first do some biomarker tests on how your immune system is doing, and whether these tests for innate immunity actually exist, or is there just like a cutout line from the literature that we should start considering taking your immunomodulator?
That's a really great question. Currently, clinically, if you go to your doctor, there's minimal tests for immune function in general and innate immunity in particular. We're developing tests to understand innate immunity and innate immune training. And in our two studies, because we're inviting anybody over the age of 65 into our studies, there's just a few exclusion criteria, but it's very broad. So it's people without illness to people with illness. And we're interested in understanding that spectrum, but we'll be looking at the metabolome and proteome in our studies and trying to correlate the impact of our immunomodulator on the metabolome and proteome. It will be really a really interesting study, and looking forward to it's a blinded study, so we won't know until the results are unblinded in the new year, but we're really excited about its application and understanding how we can intervene early on to optimize health before illness develops.
Yes, and this is definitely the golden standard. We want to prevent rather than treat. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and our treatment is health restorative. It's not designed to force a single receptor or pathway in one direction. It's designed to restore all the functions and roles of innate immunity.
And that's definitely quite a unique function. So, Hal, you also mentioned that you are looking for funding right now, and are you are potentially open for some partnerships? So, given that ARDD is actually the world's largest conference on aging and drug discovery, so are you looking for any specific types of companies, professors, or investors who you would like to talk to?
Always open to conversations from anyone. Specifically, we're raising a $25 million equity round, but in parallel, we're raising $2 to $5 million in a convertible note. So if there's some private investors interested, we would very much be interested in that conversation. If there's larger VCs interested, we would be very open to having a conversation about the 25 million round. Our platform has novel, broad application across a wide range of diseases, so we would be very interested in speaking with any potential pharma partner. But we also have research collaborations around the world, the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, 2 collaborations at the National University of Singapore, multiple collaborations in Canada and the US. So we would be very open to speaking with any researcher interested in what we're doing. We're very interested, across those many diseases that I mentioned. Our application, because of the unique mechanism in metabolic disease, we'd be very interested in collaborations or partnerships related to blood glucose control or fatty liver disease because of the novel nature of what it is that we're doing.
And then I will keep my fingers crossed for you to get as many of those fruitful conversations as possible at ARDD. And after people hear your talk, then I'm sure that you will have a crowd of questions and people waiting for you. And I
Well,
will put all the things
I
that you mentioned.
would very much welcome any conversations. So if people see me at ARDD, please come and say hello, and please reach out to me as well.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful to hear. So I will make sure to put the exact things you are looking for with a disclaimer that you're open to any conversation, which is definitely an abundant resource at ARDD. And I absolutely can't wait to meet you in person and hear your talk in this month, in 3 weeks in Copenhagen.
Yes, I'm excited to go back to Copenhagen. I haven't been to ARDD before, so I'm really looking forward to my first time at the conference and meeting everybody there.
Well, then we will make double sure that you'll have a wonderful time and a fruitful time at the same conference. Thank you so much for your time, Hal, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for making my day more exciting after learning exactly what you do.
Thank you, Dominica. I really appreciate our conversation and interview. Thank you, and I'll look forward to meeting you in person at ARDD as well.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you.